video is brought to you by Letsynthisize Academy, the #1 place for practice-oriented courses for serious music producers.
Yo, the Larson here. Today I want to talk about a really nasty plugin that I'm telling you has the potential to kick off Trash 2 from its throne. Right, so I set up this very simple sound. It's basically just a square wave with a bandpass. So this is how it sounds. And with Cyberdrive. Right, so let me initialize the preset. Let's go with the start preset. So Cyberdrive has 3 different distortion modules. They do the same, but you can do a lot with them. So first of all, you can choose between these distortion types. These are 64 different distortion types. So classic, so it's light distortion, a little harder distortion, wave shaper, bit crusher, guitar amp, pedal emulation, stuff like these. These are really, really cool stuff. Let me just go through some of them. The Freak is a really experimental kind of distortion type. Right, so with the control knob, you can change the color of the distortion. You can set the in and the out level and the drive amount, obviously, and the mix. Now this section is the cool one, because you can filter the signal after the distortion with a low pass or a high pass. But if you click these, you filter before the distortion. Now it does not make too much of a difference because it's basically just a filtered square. You can have soft clip and automatic gain compensation too. But here comes the trick. If you click on the multi instead of the filter mode, you can do the same thing that you can do in Rift. So you can select a range that you want to apply the distortion on, and that is between these 2 sliders. So now the distortion will apply in this range only, so between 1.5K and 136 Hz. Let's go lower and just distort the very subby part, so till like 100 Hz. Such a cool thing. And imagine that you have 3 instances of this module. It's crazy. What's even crazier is that you can apply different effects. So the dynamics, you can choose from modern comb, classic comb, maximizer, gate, transient. Hyper is basically an OTT, and the limiter. Or with the tone, you can select peak, low shelf, high shelf, a lot of things. Okay, so let's try the Twin Peaks. That is not the movie, but it's basically 2 instances of EQ scoops. So let's crank up the resonance and the gain. And you get a really nice vocally sound. You have another instance of this, some extra effects like with motion, the chorus, tremolo, phaser, the vocal, stuff like this. Really exciting stuff, especially for neuro bass. You want to go with the modern chorus. And for heavy basses, we can have bass guitar, electric guitar cabinets, and these metal guitar cabinet emulations. So if you had Trash 2, you know that this can be really helpful. And finally, space, that basically are just reverb, resonators, and stuff like these. Lots of other stuff comes, for example, disperser. So keep your plugin updated because really nice and cool stuff will come to this space. Before I get to the feedback module, let me talk about this bottom part that can be really familiar for you from Trash 2, so you can easily route order of these effects. So for example, I like to keep the dynamics at the end of the chain, and let's use the hyper that, as I said before, it's an OTT, crank up the depth, that is basically the strength of the compression. Now it sounds pretty bad, but it doesn't really matter. And it's so cool because we have 3 distortion modules that you can put anywhere. Now why I wanted to talk about this before the feedback, because the behavior of the feedback module will depend on its place in this signal, in this chain. So if I place it before the distortion, you get a lot different sound than if you, for example, start with it. You can go really crazy with the feedback module, but here is a trick. You can set the speed here, but we have the pitch fixed where you can add the pitch of your bass. Now my bass is in F, so Obviously, it makes sense if I set this to F, but also you can set pitch detect that automatically detects the pitch of your incoming signal, and you can route MIDI to the device. Okay, let me deactivate these distortions, we don't need them now. Now you know that if you crank up the level and if you overdo the feedback, you can have really crazy tails that can be unstoppable. So this is why the envelope follower is built in here. If you crank up the follow knob, this will kill every tail from the feedback and only get the dry signal affected by the feedback but without the tail. And also if you pull it back, it will behave in a different direction. Of course, you can filter them high passed and low passed and stuff like these. But what is really cool is this customizable dice where you can randomize the plugin. So let's say you love everything except the distortion type. So click on the distortion, randomize only the distortion module, the distortion 1 module. This is interesting. And if you have, for example, all the 3 distortion modules activated, click the distortion 1, 2, 3, but obviously you need to activate them and just randomize these. You can get very interesting results really fast. Also, what about if I want to randomize the order of the effects? I can do that too, so click on the order, click on the dice. Now let's have a quick look on the top. So the DC offset, automatic gain compensation, soft clip, you can bypass the module very fast. You can set the oversample mode, so this can be really crazy here. Extra drive, you can add some width to it, and you can play around with the mix too. So this thing is crazy. Right, so check the link for Cyberdrive under the description, and if you want to support the channel, check my Patreon and my Academy for awesome sorts of niche courses. See you guys next time. Peace.